Welcome to Martini time. I don't do this every day because I only do it now when I have this urge something to say, some urge to share, something that happened that is one of my Zen fits. So and that's nice because I'm not being paid to do this and I don't have to do it. And so it's nice just to do it when the urge comes, and I don't even have to have a martini every day. I mean, sometimes I have gin and tonic. So let's let the frog dive into the pond and come up with a golden ball. And today's golden ball is computer maintenance. So I entitled this the Zen and the Art of Computer Maintenance. If you recall the famous book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance. Well, the interesting thing about the computer is that it is created by the mind in a binary system. Just a binary little system will create the whole computer network and everything. All the language is created with, and so is our mind. Our mind is created with on-off thinking. It's yes or no. Clear and distinct. It's yes, that's it, or no, that's not it. And so we hate ambiguity. We hate when it's yes and yes, or no and no. We like on-off, clear, distinct ideas. Certainty, certainly off, certainly no, on, on. So the computer is a exterior creation of our mind. That's why it's so wonderful. That's why we love it. It's playing with our own mind. I have a friend of ours who grew up here, and when he was in, I guess, high school or maybe college, that's when the internet was coming out, and there was a web page there, and oh, that's really interesting. And nobody knew how it worked. And then he told me this when he discovered that you could create a web page if you knew the language, HTML. If you learned that code, that language, you could create worlds with it. And the big light bulb went off, and he started studying HTML and then Perl and then all these other languages, and now he's a very successful career in computer maintenance. I mean, he's the guy that fixes the big servers and the big programs, when they get a glitch in their code. And that's what's interesting about computers, and everyone here has one, is that the computer has an operating system, and there have been two religions. You got the Mac religion or the PC religion. So people either Mac or PC, and that's the operating system. But the product is the same. So and I have a Mac because that fits my. I don't know. I was captured by the imagination of it, which is what Steve Jobs so magnificently sold. So anyway, but regardless of whichever system you use, they will invariably begin to mess up. They lose their original nature. They lose their original mind when you get it. It's all fresh and full of energy, and you got all this storage, and you can do all this stuff, and it's fast, and it's electric. And then gradually with time it begins to bog down, and it starts to get cranky, and it starts to loses its energy, and it doesn't even want to wake up in the morning, and it gets slower and slower. And then you start getting glitches, and they always come up in double binds. Now a double bind is where no matter what you do, you're screwed. You're lose-lose, you fix it and the fix screws you up, right? So that's a double bind. And computers, the mind creates this. I mean, a double bind creates a panic attack. A double bind is when you can't choose which way to go because both paths are equally valid. If I go that way, I'll get some benefits, but then I won't. But then I'll be guilty for not going that way. If I can't choose this boyfriend, or girlfriend, because they both have value. And so you get wow back and forth, like a microphone up against an amplifier. You go wow, then you have a panic attack and have to have medication. So this wow oscillation is created by a double bind. And so computers do that. So I've been through a double bind all day today, and it's just been interesting working through this, because it's been quite a while since I've had to work through a computer problem. And I was just very amused at how a simple problem becomes a gigantic crash where you sometimes even lose your whole computer, you know. And this one was created by the very thing that was created to prevent the problem. And that's the way it usually is. The very thing we create, the very insurance that we create to prevent any problems, will become the source of the next problem. So this one was created by the time machine. Now that's an interesting thing. I mean, Mac has this time machine. So you have an external hard drive, put the time machine will copy your hard drive over to the time machine every day. And if you ever want to go back, oh crap, I erased this, and you can go back a month or so and find it on there and bring it back, you see. Or if you lose your whole hard drive, you can restore it from the time machine. Well, somehow, and this is always the way problems they occur, and you have no idea how it happened. So I have no idea how a copy of my backup from the hard drive got on my desktop. And I guess it was up with some other pictures, and I just put them in the trash. So I go to empty the trash, and it's got a whole year of stored data on it in this backup. A huge thing, gigabytes, you know, and it won't erase it because it's an exact clone of the active hard drive. So you got the hard drive in the trash and the one that's active, and you say erase this, and it says, oh, I'm sorry, I can't do it because it's active. In other words, the computer was in a double bind, because if it erased one, it would erase the other. You see? That's, you know, that's a classic. That's classic. If you remove one, you remove what you want to keep. So what to do? So I find, well, and I tried everything which way. It would not work. So I figured, well, then I will, since I've got the time machine, I'll erase this hard drive and restore it with the time machine. And so that's how it finally worked out. In other words, I had to erase my existing hard drive clean, go back to its original pristine mind that I had when it was new, and then I will import that would be my applications, you know, all the Photoshop and Word and all that, you see, was on that backup. So it will import all of those, and hopefully it won't restore the trash. I don't know yet. I may open it up and look at the trash, and damn, it restored the trash with the backup in it. So I'm waiting to see if that will happen, you see. But anyway, this just makes the computer is just a fascinating metaphor or mirror of our own mind. And the thing is, you see, anybody our mind is all full of programs, and these are our strategies, and a program is my strategy to solve problems in my life and to avoid suffering. And I have strategies to get pleasure and strategies to avoid pain, you know. And these are my applications. And I put them on my mind because they work. But you see, life changes. Now, life is constantly a flowing river, so conditions are changing. So the applications that we load up when our mind is young don't work as time goes by, because life has changed, but the applications haven't. So now the applications become the cause of our suffering. But all we know is the applications we loaded up, so we keep trying these programs, you see, but they don't work anymore because conditions have changed. But we keep believing in our applications. My daddy used this, you know. My family used this, you know. Or my religion uses this. So we keep plugging these things in, and it keeps freezing up the computer. So we basically, the spiritual path, or the path of awakening, or the path of the transcendent way, or the path to the cessation of suffering, is basically the realization that you need to learn the language of the mind. If you're going to fix your computer, if you're going to write a new program, you got to learn the HTML. You got to learn the language. I mean, you got to learn the manual, because the authorities can't fix it for you. So you can't go to a therapist or a psychiatrist, but he's not going to restore your mind to its original pristine innocence. He's just going to fix your program a little bit, so you can catch a bus and go buy some milk. So basically we're interested in restoring our mind to its original innocence, where energy is free and life is creative and life is wondrous again, and life is innocent again. And not to mean that you're not going to change the world, but you change yourself. So you can't change all the computers in the world, but you can change your computer. But you have to learn the code. And the primary tech tool of learning the code of your mind is meditation. You have the intention to say, well, I'm going to observe my mind. I'm the only one that can see my mind. No one else can see what it's doing. And I don't know what it's doing. So I'm just going to sit 20 minutes a day, no matter what, and I'm going to just see just let whatever comes up, and I'm just going to be attentive and watch it, and just be aware of it. I'm not going to run with the program. And of course we keep running with the program, and then we come back to our attention, our awareness, and then we go off with thinking, so we're always lost in thought, and then we come back, so it's a game. Thinking pulls me off into the computer, and then I come back and just watch the computer go, you see. So it's a game, and it goes like that. And eventually you begin to understand what the mind is doing when it does it. So when you're out in the world, you're doing something, and the mind starts plugging in one of these old strategies, you notice it. Oh, wait a minute, that strategy doesn't work. Look at the pain it's causing. So you become aware of the pain your strategies are causing while they're causing it. And that's called awakening. That's called self-realization. That's called eureka. I see. I see what my mind has been doing. Instead of believing the program as reality, I'm awaking to my awareness, which is not the program. So I become centered in my awareness, in my seeing, instead of believing I'm part of the program. Because every program in the mind has a me in it. Every program in the mind has a little operator called me, and it thinks it's the program. So it's kind of like the hard drive holds all the programs, and our little thinking self identifies with the programs, you see, but the hard drive has gone to sleep. So this practice, you see, is to awaken the awareness of the hard drive that holds the programs. So you begin to be aware of how these programs are working. And that's the art of computer maintenance. You begin to be your own mind's tech support, you see.
Mind mechanic.
Mind mechanic. Yeah, my daughter's here. So, so nobody else can do this for you. But so it is really just a sudden realization that I can learn this code. I can remove this, I can be free of the cycles of suffering in my own life that come from the use of strategies that are outdated. You see, life is always updating, and the strategies, yourself. You get a Photoshop or something, and a couple of generations down the line, it stops working. And that's why it's so beautiful about computers. It's because it's an evolving mind, but it's an evolving exterior machine that replicates our own mind, and that's why we love it. So anyway, let that be a metaphor for today. Let that be your Zen fit for the day. Okay, thank you, and
Cheers.
I'll see you in the morning.